And our next guest will surely be paying attention to this as a member of the Homeland Security Committee. But there are other important issues to talk about, such as the border.
Yeah, that's right. The House Homeland Security Committee holding their second impeachment hearing into DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas today. But guess what? Mayorkas failed to show.
That's right. The chairman of the committee, Mark Green, releasing a statement to Mayorkas saying, as stated in earlier letters to you, your perspective on the crisis at the border and actions you have taken as secretary are valuable for the members of the committee and the American public to hear. Regretfully, every invitation for almost half a year we extended to you to testify focused specifically on the border crisis and has been rejected or subject to endless delay tactics.
Okay, joining us now to discuss is Kansas Senator and member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, Senator Roger Marshall. Senator, thank you so much for coming on here. So let's talk about Iran and what's going on here. Break it all down for us and give me the pulse inside the Senate here. There's got to be some worry that this is going to get out of control.
Right. I think that Americans get this. They see a clear distinction between the national security, the foreign policy of Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. When Donald Trump was president, we had a secure border. Our enemies feared us. And he also had financially broke Iran. They were down to just several $billion under Joe Biden. Now Iran has tens of billions of dollars able to spend on their puppets as well as their own attacks, what we're seeing right here. Meanwhile, we're having 10,000 people cross our own border, putting this nation at risk as well. So a very, very clear distinction. You have Joe Biden on one end of the spectrum and Donald Trump on the other person. Donald Trump's the person that's going to keep us safe and secure.
Senator, you wrote an article for Newsweek that came out just today, and here's the title: Joe Biden is the real threat to democracy. Now, in the article, you criticized Biden for the border and called it a national security crisis. I'd like to hear your reaction to Mayorkas not showing up today, especially when there were grieving mothers sharing their experiences there, and also to the White House saying that that these hearings are unconstitutional.
My goodness. You know, I'm stunned that he didn't show up. Look, we need to fire Secretary Mayorkas today. We need to fire Joe Biden in 300 days. It's that simple. Let's start with Mayorkas. He's broke the law. He broke his oath. He's not enforcing the law. For all those reasons, he should be impeached. The American people are demanding an impeachment. My goodness, we're having 300 Americans die every day from fentanyl poisoning. He's lost operational control of the border. And then they parole 1.7 million people. Compared to Obama, maybe he paroled 5,000 every year. Biden is paroling about 1 million people every year. So they've broken the law, they've broken their oath. Mayorkas has to go. It's that simple.
Senator, let's pivot right now. Let's talk about the election that's going on. We had an unprecedented victory in Iowa. Former President Trump now has a tougher challenge, though, in New Hampshire. Still leading in the polls, but it's not such a major lead like we saw in Iowa, and we still see in other states. Nikki Haley, maybe in striking distance. What can you tell us about that?
Well, look, I think Iowa is a much better representation of the entire nation. What they're doing in New Hampshire, a little bit different. Democrats and independents are in those polls and going to vote as well. But we saw just dominant by President Trump in Iowa, dominating rural America. Very proud of that. Look, he's winning by 30 points, folks. He is the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party. It is time for the other candidates to put their swords away. Let President Trump focus on Joe Biden and the White House. Let's save some of our money, save some of that gunpowder to use it against Joe Biden. If you haven't noticed, President Trump has a few other things on his mind right now. Let's get him through this first process, through the primary. Let's get locked in on firing Joe Biden in 300 days.
Yeah,